Greetings to everyone on my channel. Sit back. Now you will listen to another incredible story about the relationship of a married couple and the incredible exposure of his wife. I will ask you to subscribe to my channel and like it. It's not difficult for you, but it's nice for me. Returning from a long and wonderful vacation in the Caribbean brought us back to the routine of everyday life. The weather in winter Toronto was extremely cold. Snowdrifts lay all around. Snowplows worked all day. The unpleasant strong wind also did not help to lift the mood. Fortunately, the energy accumulated on the hot beaches of Barbados was enough for us to ignore the temporary vagaries of nature for a while. I plunged into my work almost immediately. The bosses demanded an increase in sales, so I spent most of my working time in numerous negotiations with potential partners. It took a lot of time and effort. To my great regret, I couldn't pay as much attention to Alia as I wanted. She didn't need anything financially, but I felt that she would like to see me more often. Besides, the pregnancy was making itself felt. The deadline was getting longer, and at the same time, Alia's mood was changing. She became more anxious, constantly calling me at work and asking for advice on every little thing. I tried to treat it with understanding because I knew how important this child was to us. I really wanted to become a father, and this desire outweighed for me all the other negative moments of our lives. In February, Alia persuaded me to go with her to an appointment with a gynecologist. Her attending physician, unsure of the results of recent tests and observations, advised Ol to contact the famous Professor Samantha Owen, one of the best specialists in Toronto. She had an impeccable reputation and was highly professional. During our joint visit to her, Alia had to undergo a routine examination using ultrasound to confirm or dispel the fears of the attending physician. Samantha seemed like a real professional to me. No longer young, she had a fantastic optimism that was passed on to her clients. During the conversation with her, Alia, who had been worried before, became calmer and even found the strength to smile. When it was time for the ultrasound, Alia's excitement made itself felt again. I had to squeeze her hand tightly and constantly encourage her to somehow reduce her tension. Professor Owen gently ran a special device over Alia's stomach, as if scanning it. "I don't see anything terrible yet," she said, obviously trying to calm Olga down. "Don't be nervous. Take a deep breath, then exhale. That's it. Well done." Alia looked at me and, seeing support in my eyes, found the strength to smile. "Ah, that's the thing," Samantha said suddenly. "What is it, doctor?" Alia and I asked in unison. "Don't worry," she reassured us. "There is no reason to panic. Congratulations, you have twins." "Twins?" I asked in surprise. "How are the twins?" "But how could they not have done it before?" "The thing is," the professor explained, "one kid is much bigger than the other. He seemed to be blocking out the second one. It was hard to see him until the main parts of the body began to form. So there is a risk that the second child will not survive?" Alia asked. There was a look of fright in her eyes. "There's always a risk, missus. However, in your case, I see no reason to worry. One of the twins will just be bigger than the other, that's all. It happens quite often, don't worry." "Is it also impossible to find out the gender of the twins?" Alia asked with obvious excitement. "My doctor told me that it's still difficult." "Yes, she's right," Dr. Owen replied. "I would advise you to be patient. After 3 to 4 weeks, it will be possible to try to determine the sex of the babies. I understand your feelings, but don't worry too much about it. Do you agree with me, Mr. Bogdanov?" "Absolutely, ma'am. The main thing is that these are our children, and everything is fine with them so far." I looked into Ol's eyes and saw joy in them. When we returned home from the clinic, Alia looked much better. She laughed and told me about our future children. "What do we call them?" she asked and immediately replied. "If there are twins, let me name one and you name the other. That would be fair." "It's a great idea," I supported my wife. "But for now, we need to think about your health." "You don't have to worry about that. Jordan has developed a special training and nutrition program that allows me to better tolerate pregnancy." "Fine," I replied and couldn't resist adding, "I hope this program doesn't include regular training with him." Alia laughed out loud. To be honest, I didn't expect such a reaction from her. Perhaps she was too relaxed after the good news from the doctor, so she let her emotions run wild. "Oh no, not at all. Of course not. Don't worry, She smiled broadly. But something is still planned. I didn't doubt it. When was the last time you had a workout with him? Yesterday. Why? Did he train with you? No. I looked sternly at Alya, trying to hold back my own smile. She was so beautiful when she smiled. Pregnancy has only beautified her appearance, made her even more feminine. Alya shifted uncomfortably in her seat and said, "It's true, Andriush, I didn't train. But, but what? Well, let's just say he added more protein to my diet yesterday." This time I couldn't help but smile. "Oh, you're my joker." "Yes, I am like that," she smiled back. As soon as we got home, Alya immediately attacked me, starting to pull off my sweater. I was excited too, but I was still confused by the pressure from her. "I finally got to you," she whispered in my ear. "Today you will be mine alone." When she took off my outer clothes, I was ready to continue. We exchanged gentle touches, and I felt a surge of excitement that she was carrying my children. Without ceasing to communicate with each other, we enjoyed the moment of intimacy. When Alya pulled me by the hand and led me upstairs, I obeyed. There was a feigned confidence in her movements. It was as if she wanted to feel in charge, and I couldn't deny her that pleasure. As soon as we crossed the threshold of the bedroom, she gently pushed me onto the bed. "Today you will be completely at my mercy," she whispered in my ear, lying down next to me. My hand felt the pleasant touch of Alya's chest, warm and elastic. "As you wish," I replied, feeling my emotions overwhelm me. Alya kissed me tenderly. Our tongues intertwined. I felt the warmth of her open mouth, felt the tenderness of her lips and touch. Her hand slid over my chest and suddenly, quite unexpectedly, squeezed me hard. I cried out in surprise. "What are you doing?" Alya smiled. "This is just the beginning, dear. Be good, enjoy what I do, and everything will be fine." I didn't know what to answer, so I just obediently closed my eyes and put myself at the mercy of my woman. Besides, I wanted to know how far this game would take us. "That's it," she said with satisfaction. "Good boy." Her hands gently touched me again, and I felt a wave of pleasant excitement. Alya didn't even look at me, continuing her work. It took a few minutes before I began to enjoy the process. Olina's movements were unhurried, measured, and neat. She did not scratch such a sensitive spot, but tried to do everything gently, but at the same time confidently. "Oh, I croaked. "You like it, don't you?" Alya asked playfully. "Oh, yes, oh," I replied. "Whether there will be more," she said cryptically. I could have thought about this phrase if I hadn't been preoccupied with the next wave of excitement that swept over me. "Don't rush the end," she said, pretending to be stern. I did not give such a command. "Yes, madam, I'm sorry," I replied ironically. "Good boy," Alya said. It was unexpected and probably painful, but I was so excited that it only added zest to our game. "I see you're ready for the final round," she said. Collapsing on my stomach and feeling my heart racing, I could only mumble, "If my heart can stand it, my love, it will hold up. You'll be pleased. I promise. I'm sure I will. Wait for me here. About 5 minutes. I have to get ready." I was surprised and smiling, remarked, "I see you're ready." "Not yet," Alya replied calmly. Coming out of the bedroom, I didn't even have the energy to think about a possible surprise for Alya. I just lay on my back, arms and legs spread wide, and tried not to lose the pleasant excitement that overcame me. Alya returned pretty quickly. At first, I didn't even notice that something had changed in her appearance. But when I looked closer, I shuddered and screamed, "No, no, what are you doing?" "No." But Alya just continued to stand, leaning against the door, and smile. I wasn't laughing. The excitement was gone. "No," I repeated firmly. "Yes," she answered confidently. "This is what you need. What we need." I. I. The words wouldn't come to my head because I couldn't concentrate. My eyes were frozen at one point. I couldn't take my eyes off what was now showing off between Alya's legs. "Yes," Alya replied calmly. "And what?" "I'm not like that," I shouted, getting out of bed. "Do you think that's what I want?" "Yes, you want it," Alya replied. "But you only want it to happen to me. And only me." "But wait." I hesitated. "It's kind of like that, unmanly, I do not know. Oh, and finishing up after my men is so masculine. Olga quipped. Calm down, Andrew. We both know what we're doing. We both know why we're doing this. Why resist? For a while, we just stood there in silence and looked at each other. I had a strange feeling. On the one hand, Alya was right. Making love to a legitimate spouse, no matter how exotic it was, could not be called something shameful. This is just another experiment in our lives. But on the other hand, the thought of being satisfied as a woman made me feel real fear. This fear was born at the subconscious level, at the level of animal instinct. But the strangest thing is that the stronger the fear, the stronger the desire to try. Finally, with a heavy feeling in my chest, I broke the pause and said, "Okay, let's try it." I couldn't believe my ears myself. I didn't believe that I could agree to such a thing. However, a year ago, I would not have believed that I would let my wife sleep with other men in front of me. Alya is right. Life is changeable, and you need to enjoy it. Good girl. Alya replied and smiled devilishly again. I feel like I'm going to regret this, I said with a bitter smile. Never, Alya whispered, coming up to me. So, Andrew, get up. I think this is the most comfortable position. Trust my experience. And don't worry. Trust me. If there was a person in the world whom I trusted unconditionally, it was Alya. So I did everything she asked. I know it's going to hurt at first, she said. But then, trust me, you're going to get high. Try to relax. I wasn't sure about anything. However, Alya's gentle touches calmed me down a little. Relax, Alya told me, but I heard her voice as if in a fog. Come on, you can do it. I don't remember much else. I remember that it didn't happen all at once. That Alya was making a lot of effort, and I was just standing on all fours, not thinking clearly what I was doing. At some point, I just felt something big and cold getting inside me. At first, it was very unpleasant and painful. It was as if something foreign and dirty had plunged into my previously absolutely clean and protected body. In fact, it probably was. However, the deeper this object penetrated, the more exciting the sensations were. Finally, he began to move back and forth, and I felt goosebumps all over my body, from my head to the tips of my toes. Yes, that's it. Alya laughed. Damn, what an unusual feeling. Do you like it, my love? Oh, was all I could say. Yes, I'm sure I like it. Good boy. Damn, that feels great. Changing roles. Her movements became faster and more confident. I felt something shudder inside me. Clever girl. Alya whispered in my ear when it was finally over, and I was exhausted, lying on the bed with my arms and legs spread out in all directions. I'm proud of you. Yeah, was all I could say. You did your best. The next day I could hardly work properly. Sitting in a chair, even in a comfortable leather chair like mine, was quite painful. Worse, the constant pain reminded me of last night, an evening I'd like to forget. But, fortunately, when I returned home, I was waiting for a delicious dinner and a perfectly affectionate wife, who did not say a word about what had happened. I was surprised by Alya's behavior, but I didn't want to start a conversation about last night, so I pretended that nothing had happened. Life quickly returned to its usual course. There was a lot of work, and it took up almost all my time. So I often came home after midnight, when Alya was asleep or getting ready for bed. Now, in the 4th month of pregnancy, she began to pay more attention to the daily routine and strictly followed all the doctor's recommendations. Fortunately, so far the pregnancy has been without complications, and I hope that the Lord would be merciful to us. There was a heavy snowfall on Friday evening. The roads on the northern outskirts of the city were so covered that all traffic was paralyzed. I had an appointment with my partners in one of the northern suburbs of Toronto, but it had to be postponed, so I returned home almost 4 hours earlier than usual. As I drove up to the house, I immediately noticed Jordan's blue Chevrolet parked on our property. I met Jordan himself in the living room. He was sitting on the couch and enthusiastically looking at an album with our family photos. He was wearing only tight swimming trunks, from which a solid bulge bulged. Alya was not in sight. Jordan smiled broadly when he saw me. "It's good to see you, Andrew," he said. "That's for sure," I replied, reluctantly shaking his hand. "Alya is in the shower," he said. "We just finished training. Is everything okay?" Did she complain of abdominal pain? I asked. No, everything was fine. Jordan replied, don't worry, pregnant women are my profile. He winked at me. I'm looking at your family photos here. It looks like an ordinary, decent family. It's impossible to imagine that your wife is an expert on black guys. Although, he scratched his chin picturesquely, almost every white woman dreams of a black guy in her soul. He patted me familiarly on the shoulder. Don't worry, Andrew. You'll see, Olga will give birth to healthy, strong babies. And chocolate ones, which is also important. I swallowed. With all my heart, I wanted to believe that the words of this insolent man would be only half real, and Alya's children would be from me. But I made my choice a long time ago, so it would be stupid to be offended. Have you satisfied her yet today? I suddenly blurted out. Jordan smiled broadly, revealing his perfect white teeth. I haven't had time yet. Alya said you would come later. I hoped to satisfy her in the shower, but she refused. Pregnant women, what to take from them? He shrugged. I pretended to smile, but I wasn't amused. Jordan's company didn't bode well for me personally, but I decided to be patient. Fortunately, I soon heard a familiar, pleasant voice. Alya was coming down the stairs. Well, are you ready to satisfy your white baby? Alya stopped dead in her tracks when she saw me. She was wearing gorgeous snow-white underwear that suited her very well. I noticed a bracelet on her arm that Jordan had given to Alya for her birthday. The day our children were conceived. Andrew, you said you'd be late. The weather has made its own adjustments, I smiled. But I'm sorry, I didn't want to disturb you. Well, what are you talking about? How can you stop us? Alya came up to me and kissed me on the cheek. It will be even better this way. Isn't that right, Jordan? Of course, Jordan said, without a shadow of embarrassment, hugging Alya around the waist. I don't like this business. And your cuckold, as far as I remember, is a master at such things. I was prevented from responding to Jordan's audacious antics by a loud doorbell. Everyone was surprised. Are you waiting for someone? I asked Alya. No, she replied, and fear showed in her eyes. Neither she nor I wanted to be caught looking like this and in such company. I left the living room and walked down the hall to the front door. When I opened it, I fell into a stupor because I did not expect to see such a guest on my doorstep. Alex? I was surprised. Hi, Andrew. I'm sorry I didn't call. I was near your house. I decided to check it out and come visit. Is it possible? Well, I thought about it for a while, and then I said, come in. Alex looked laconic and stylish. A white shirt accentuated his muscular torso, blue jeans, and a belt with a large buckle harmoniously combined with each other. He smelled good. Obviously, this guy used an expensive French perfume. When Alex followed me into the living room, there was a silent scene for a while. Everyone, Alya, Alex and Jordan, looked shocked and shocked. They looked away from each other without saying a word. For some reason, this picture made me laugh, and I did not hide my smile. I see I'm at a bad time, Alex finally said. Oh no, you're just in time, I said. Alya turned in my direction, and catching my playful gaze, laughed. Alya came up to me, barely standing on her feet, bent down and gently kissed me on the lips. I love you, she told me in a low, gentle voice. I know, I replied. I know you too. I know that I did everything wrong, but what should I do if I love her, even in such situations?